Okay, but maybe we should use this to roll into, not every health and fitness article you read on the internet is valuable. They will post anything on the internet.
Anyone can post anything on the internet.
Yeah, so like I think sometimes even if we're talking about like sources that have been around for a long time, like men's health, women's health, shape, in health, I think that's another one.
In health?
I don't know.
Never heard of them.
They have lots of different, but just because it's on the internet and you're reading it in a magazine, like they're not always going to be 100% accurate. Like I was actually reading, someone in my feed shared one recently, and I was reading it, and the whole entire article, the tip, so tip 1 was this, and then tip 2 contradict tip 1, and tip 3 contradicted 1 and 2. So like you're getting all these tips, but they're not actually in line with each other. So just really pay attention to what you're reading. I think there's also this point where information overload.
Yeah.
Like there is so much, and you can research and do more research and do more research, and you're not gonna really get results until you start taking action. You pick something and you go hard at it, and that is what you do, and commit to it for a month or 2 or 3 months to really see results. You really won't see changes in the first 4 days, or the first few weeks. You really need some longer term commitment to something to find out if it's going to be the right fit for you.
I've kind of got a news flash.
What's the news flash?
The news flash is you already know enough. There's nothing new and novel and there's nothing that you don't know right now. Just being a human being, and that is going to help you get better results to an extent. There's nothing new. There's nothing new.
No.
Keto, not new.
No.
Been around forever. Been used in the medical community for a really long time.
I'm pretty sure we called it Atkins for a while there.
Right? So none of this, what you're learning, and typically what I see people is it's just it's something you feel good about, because when we read something, we feel like we're making steps in the right direction. So I'm kind of reading it and I'm learning oh yeah, that makes sense, I'm going to do that. But how many of those actual tips do you then implement on a regular basis, right? It just doesn't happen. And so carnivore diet thing, yep, all the rage.
Except for 97% of people,
micronutrient deficiency.
Because 97% of people do not do the carnivore diet correctly. Most people don't do keto right either, and that's why when people ask me my opinion on keto, I'm like, well, I don't really have one, because I don't want to be rude and just tell you you're probably doing it wrong.
So
now I just did tell you you're probably doing it wrong.
The principles around any of this, it hasn't changed since humans have been eating vegetables and protein and animals.
When did we start eating protein and vegetables?
When was the agricultural revolution? 10,000 years ago?
10,000 years ago? Agricultural revolution?
I think it's
no,
10,000 years ago.
1700s.
You keep talking and I'll figure out when the agricultural revolution was.
1700s. That's my guess.
So it's less consumption, more doing is what it comes down to.
Oh, that would say the 18th century. So the 1700s. Winner, winner, chicken dinner for Ashley.
Google.
I am Google.
So, yeah. All right. So what were we talking about? I lost my train of thought.
That we've been doing keto forever, and we've been eating vegetables. I asked you how long we've been eating vegetables for, and you said the agricultural revolution, and then you felt the need to Google it, and I was already correct.
So all of this came from this consumption of information, right? And so this article, that article, I'm reading Men's Health, I'm reading Women's Health, I'm kind of seeing these really cool lose 10 pounds in 7 days, and all these kind of catchy headlines that basically get us to open it up and read it. Some of these magazines do a really good job from a research standpoint, and they're quoting experts and that kind of stuff. I think that's one thing to look at, is when you're reading an article, do they quote people in the industry? That can be, but if it's just a random web page with a weird URL and they don't cite any references, maybe pass on that one. And actually, for a lot of clients,
I don't know if you were going to write, when you write a blog post, would you cite references?
If I'm quoting specific things.
I know what's hard though is where would I quote that information from? I just knew it off the top of my head.
Right. Well, I mean, but if you were trying to suggest how much protein that someone should eat, right? Is it just oh, this is just Ashley's general recommendations, or is this based on like scientific evidence?
Well,
So, because we have scientific evidence for a lot of it. And
Point
so,
taken.
like, that stuff is good, especially like, I mean, you're going to read blogs, you're going to read opinion pieces, and make sure that you take them for what they are. They're typically just someone's experiences in working with people. But then we get to bigger publications that should have citations behind them. They should have quotes and that kind of stuff. So make sure you just look at it that, and also think about everything in the context of your life.
do you have any sites if people are looking for information that you think has really good quality information?
I did, but then they got bought by another site, so I'll have to think about it.
So like for a lot of nutrition stuff, I use the Weston A. Price Foundation.
They're good.
That like I can find just about anything that I'm looking for there. There's some other like medical professionals like Dr. Mark Hyman. You can find some really good stuff on his website too.
But I think even like Mark's Daily Apple, I think does
Yeah.
a really good job. They try and back a lot. They're very much in like the primal eating, paleo, not quite there, but that's a good one. Thane just said examine.com. Examine.com is great if you're looking at supplements. Kind of that's where I was talking about with the biocurcumin. That's where a lot of my content comes from. They basically take studies and then give you like a level of evidence, like how
And they
how
like
much is
compare a
supported.
bunch of different studies
Right.
together. So like they don't
Good-
just look at
good
one study.
studies,
They like
good studies.
no, because they look at the bad ones too and find out what they did wrong.
Right, but they wouldn't include that in the like
In
the
the overall
evidence.
data,
Right.
Like good.
So Mark's Daily Apple is good. God, I wish I thought of this. I think it's on Healthline now.
I'm sorry. I just totally. We can include that when Trevor remembers. He can drop the link in the comments for today.
But basically what it comes down to is most people should probably consume less information or no information at all and just focus on doing. Like if you, instead of like surfing the internet for 20 minutes, like just did food prep for that 20 minutes, you'd probably be better served by doing the food prep
Well-
than learning like 5 random tips to lose belly fat.
And I think like the other thing is like you pick one person you're going to listen to
For a period of time.
Like I think like exactly. So, but I think a lot of people like will ask one person's opinion and then another person's opinion, or they crowdsource on Facebook and get 75,000 more opinions. So pick a trusted resource and follow the direction.
Yep.
And just go, at least see where things go from there.
Because like at the end of the day, everything works. Like the grapefruit diet works. It works. Like, it
Otherwise,
works.
it wouldn't be a thing that we have to talk about.
It works, but like it only works if you work it to an extent, right? Like you have to do it, like in order.
Well,
for it
you
to
actually
work.
have to do something.
Yes.
You can't just talk about do something and
So
crowdsource
that's-
do something.
and that's the I think the crutch or the thing a lot of people run into is we get all this dopamine and we feel good when we're doing research because we feel like we're making progress forward, but we're really not making any progress.
So
whatsoever.
are we just going to Nike slogan this episode? Just do it?
Let's just do it. Like that's at the end of the day, you just have to do it. And so this is also one of the reasons why we created FF Commit. Like this is our program. It's like we are able to, because we are in this industry and we're able to wade through a lot of the junk, we can basically curate that information and then present it to someone so that they can consume it in a much more logical sense. They can also, we can make sure that the stuff that we're presenting to them is credible and stuff we believe in and how we work with clients. And so someone isn't necessarily paralyzed by the whole analysis piece, the paralysis by analysis. They can just focus on the doing rather than having to do all of the research. So I think that's another reason why working with like a coach of any sorts, whether it's in business or whether it's even like a psychologist or it's in the gym, having a coach allows that coach to disseminate through the information, pull out the things that are important, and give you what you need in order to be successful rather than just like throwing up everything.